So, happy Tuesday. I'm going to make this brief. I get so tired of hearing people say, well, Trump may be a jerk, but we had a great economy. He was great for the economy, the Trump economy. Okay. When Donald Trump became president, our economy was in great shape. Barack Obama had pulled us back from the disastrous end of the Bush administration when banks were on the brink of failing all over the place because of this ridiculous loan guarantee package that they allowed the banks to put together. And I don't want to go into detail about it, but if you don't remember it, go back and look it up. And that caused put the banks on the brink of collapse. The automobile industry was on the brink of collapse. Obama pulled us out of all that mess. And by the time Trump came along, we had full employment. We had manageable interest rates. The economy was booming. The stock market was at record highs. And that was Trump's economy. It was Obama's economy. 2 years later, we have COVID because Trump had signed another huge tax increase. The only bill that was passed during his 4 years was a huge tax cut for the wealthy. And that put the national debt so far out of control, we'll never get it back. And then COVID hit, and then we had to start borrowing money again because we didn't have enough income coming in because of the tax cut, and then that blew a further hole in the debt. And it's that kind of, and was that spending, that deficit spending, which is the fundamental cause for the inflation that we suffered when Biden took over. So people who say Trump was great for the economy don't know anything about economics, or they don't know anything about history, or more likely, they just don't want to believe it. They don't want to know details. Here you get details. And if you understand the details, you'll understand that Trump was terrible for the economy. And if you look historically, the Democrats have always been good for the economy, and the Republicans have always been bad for the economy for two reasons. Republicans slash taxes on the wealthy, blow a hole in the national debt, and don't do anything to regulate big business, particularly the banks. It was a problem with the Reagan administration, and it was the problem with the Trump administration, and in both instances, and it was a problem with the Bush administration. All three of those administrations slashed taxes and cut regulations. So they didn't do their job, and the result of every one of those was at the end of their administrations, you had an economic calamity. Those are the facts, folks. Don't take my word for it. Go look it up. Use Google. Google gives you all kinds of information. At least it's a good starting point. So those are the facts. Trump was not good for the economy. He was terrible for the economy. And if he's back in power, he's talking about doing it again. Slashing taxes for the wealthy, cutting regulations, letting businesses, particularly the banks, do whatever they want to do. And you're going to be right back where we were before with every other Republican administration in recent history. So those are the facts, folks. You don't have to take my word for it. Look it up. I'm done with that. One other quick thing is I made a mistake the other day, and I deeply regret it. And I realized it as soon as I got off the air, but I want to correct it now. I accused Franklin Pierce of being the nominee of the Know Nothing Party back in 1854, I think it was. So, 1852. So, I was wrong. It wasn't Franklin Pierce. My deepest apologies to the Pierce family, and primarily my deepest apologies to the law school named after him and all those fine people who graduated from Franklin Pierce Law School. It was not Franklin Pierce. It was the person against whom he was running, and we all know who that was. It was Zachary Taylor's vice president, Millard Fillmore. And so Millard Fillmore was the one and only candidate of the Know Nothing Party, and that was in 1852, I'm pretty sure. So I'm not positive on that, but I'm pretty sure it was 1852. So it was 100 years before Eisenhower was elected. That's how I remember these things. 1852, 1952, like Lincoln 1860, Kennedy 1960. That's the way you remember these dates, folks, if you're interested. So it was Millard Fillmore. Millard Fillmore was an interesting person, and I'm not going to waste a lot of time, but let me tell you this, and you're going to hear it for the first time ever, anyplace. Zachary Taylor died in his first administration, and Millard Fillmore took over. Of what did Zachary Taylor die? They say it was gastroenteritis. No one dies from gastroenteritis. I think he was poisoned. In fact, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say it. Zachary Taylor was poisoned. And who poisoned him? I don't know. I wasn't around then. But you do look back at some certain things. Who had opportunity and motive? And the only one I can think of who had a clear motive, the only presidential candidate of the Know Nothing Party, Millard Fillmore. Who had opportunity? Well, who sat around and had dinner with Zachary Taylor every day? I don't know. Maybe it was his wife. Or it may have been Millard Fillmore. So I think at a very least, Millard Fillmore should be a person of interest, and there's no statute of limitations on murder. So, Millard, I know you're sitting around all fat and happy right now, but the reality is they could be coming for you. So, with that note, I'm going to leave. It's not my responsibility to figure out whether or not Zachary Taylor was murdered and or whether Millard Fillmore had anything to do with it. But you got to wonder, somebody who would take the nomination of the Know Nothing Party. And let's face it, with all due respect to Franklin Pierce, who I slandered earlier, he was not exactly a dynamic kind of guy, right? I mean, I don't think you'd vote for him today. If he was running for candidate in the television era, I think maybe even Millard Fillmore could have beaten him. Okay, there you heard it now. I'm not gonna go into that anymore. If you want to know more about Millard Fillmore, Zachary Taylor, Franklin Pierce, James Buchanan, all the people that led up to Lincoln, let me know. I'll be happy to talk about it all day long if you let me, which I'm sure you won't. Bye.